One of the things that I sometimes struggle with is what I call people bondage. So where you're just like the opinions of other people become so much that it's bombarding you. And it's one of the prayer points I always pray. It's like, God, please, I don't want to be a person that's bonded to the words of other people. That is your word. I continually say this of myself. Even now, I still say this of myself. Like, I will never be in bondage to the words of other people. And that it will be God's word that stands regardless of what anyone else says. Because it can be a struggle, an area of real struggle, where other people are telling you, because like I'm words of affirmation. So if someone says something to me, if you don't feel something, I feel those words like it can be a knife to me. Like the way I would feel afterwards, you won't understand. Some people won't understand it, but the words that people say to me, it has a lot of power. Like that's one of the things that people need to understand. Be careful the way that you speak to other people, and also you yourself speak to other people as well, because you don't know how someone can take it, how that word can be transformed into something else. So I'm always consistently praying, God, I will never be in bondage to people's words, what people think about me, because I will fall and I'll stand and I'll fall at the words of other people, and that's not the word that stands. It is the word of God that stands consistently throughout time. He's there from the beginning to the end. His word is the one that creates and destroys. So your words, they're not going to be powerful over me today.
Come on, girl, tell him.
I think, like, when you say God in your heart, is it in terms of jealousy or just
anything that
anything?
you need to be guarded against?
I think for me, I'm still learning what that fully looks like. But something that I have been doing this year is declarations over my life. Every morning when I wake up, I say, oh, I'm the light of the world, I'm the salt. Like, I remind myself of who God says that I am. So kind of like what Rev Pearl said, I don't just pray over my heart when I go into certain environments. I take charge over my day and I speak what God says over me before I go into uni, work, and different places that I go to. And it's like every month God has been taking me through different topics. So it may not apply to me in that moment, but I know it might be coming for another day. So that's what I do. I meditate on the words daily. I even have reminders on my phone that say you are loved, you are beautiful, maybe at 12 o'clock, at 6 o'clock. And all these things assist me in guarding my heart and preparing me for whatever life may throw at me, I guess.
Part of guarding your heart as well will be, those ones I think is good for the ones you may not see coming. Like if I had a day like you said you had, I have a phrase that I say is, the devil wants me. Because those people are it's not like they had a meeting and said, we're all going to go speak to Pearl this this evening to be like, or today to be like talk about her weight. They all came at different points. And when things are happening like that, I'm able to stop and be like, oh, okay, the devil wants me. In the sense that you guys know, surely you're too busy to have a meeting to say, we're all going to talk about her body today to put her down. Some people are very jobless. Anyway, but there are things that you know, or maybe people that you've allowed in your life that you know they are not good for you. And you don't just have their chair there, you even have their name on it. You can take the chair away. Sometimes we need to adjust the proximity we give people. Not everybody, if you've allowed someone into like the holies of holies of yourself, so they have direct access to you, and you know they're like, Jonah is in the boat with you, and Jonah is telling you, I'm the reason your boat is in a storm. And God he's telling you, his behavior is saying, throw me away. You're like, no, throw him away. There's some people you just need to be like, okay, clearly, for whatever reason, this combination ain't working. God bless you. But sorry, your seat's taken. We just, like, let's be real. I'm not someone that would say, oh, don't ever speak to that person again. But we need to adjust the proximities of people. Sometimes we need to know who's who. And even like not being quiet. You'll be surprised how Jesus did it. Although Peter was trying to be nice and it was like, oh, you're not going to die. So it was like, Don't laugh at me. Yeah, I did it at uni to somebody, but it's not good. Jesus, get thee behind me. Understanding the voice behind whoever's speaking matters. And if you are silent, we all know it's a war of words. When you don't deal with that word right there and then, you've heard it. Even if you can go 5 days without reacting to what you heard then, that word, because it's something you're dealing with on the inside, can catch up with you later. Yeah. So you need to operate it. So me guiding my heart is, okay, we are seeing a behavioral pattern. We've tried, let's say I've tried to speak to this person, we're going around the same circle. Sis, bro, clearly we need to adjust proximities. But also looks like when someone says things over my life, they may not mean to. You know, people say they are joking. You're so dumb. I'm not dumb. Bro, listen, even if in the same how you're I'm not dumb. Say it. Or don't do what I did in uni when some guy was talking about how, not uni, I was delivered by then, almost secondary school. He was talking about how black girls are not attractive. I mean, what's my business? Was I even attracted to him? Please ask me. It wasn't a thing, but because I was so conscious of being the only black, there was me and some other girl, there was only 2 of us we were so conscious about that, and I was still getting the grips of natural hair hadn't developed to the point where we are now. So it was really difficult. Okay. It was traumatic. There were no other people to identify with. You understand, right? And at the end of class, instead of me to be like, no, we are, instead of me to speak the truth of myself, I decided to go beat the boy up. I don't know how that helped. But yeah, I'm delivered. So things like that, you just need to, don't let the words sip in, because your mind, even though you go to sleep, your mind can replay things, even in your subconscious. And so you'll be responding, you'll be reacting like 10 days later when the person has moved on with their life. Right there and then, a word comes, you know this word affects you. Replace it. Like, that's so key. Be careful what you let to sink in your heart. Because once it sinks, it can bear fruit. And dealing with it at that point is it's not impossible, but it's extra difficult.
Yeah. I just want to add, regards to guarding your heart with what you hear, but for me, it wouldn't be necessarily what people say, because I'm really indifferent about, there's not much you can say to me that I've not already said to myself, so it's not like I'm going to be traumatized. And also the way my mind is, my mind is kind of blessed, genuinely not blessed, but it is blessed in the sense that, again, I said I generally have peace of mind, I generally, that's kind of how I live. But where I've seen the attack is usually maybe the voice of the enemy. So the enemy may say lies, and it won't necessarily be about, a couple of years ago, maybe 9 years ago, it would be about looks and beauty. So unprovoked, an auntie came to me and she was like, look at your skin. And she was touching my face, 'cause I had bumps around here. And she was like, oh my gosh. I was like, it was actually sore to the point where it was even pussing when I got home. And then I remember, I looked at myself and I was like, I can't live like this. So I actually prayed really, really hard, and it went down the next day. But I also realized that, okay, on the surface, I can't live with bumps on my face, that hurts. But spiritually, I can't live with someone coming to me and saying, what's wrong with your face? And then me being broken, do you understand? So for me, it's listen to the words of understand the words of the enemy and not letting it penetrate. You said something about how if it's said now, you may be able to live for 5 days with it, but it might come back. And that could be in any area. For example, for me, it would be maybe lust. So I may be cool, but I might think about something 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, 5 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 months. It's fine. And from nowhere, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I get down here? Wow, delete, history. Do you understand? So it's a thing where it's not necessarily what happens immediately that will cause the issue. It could be something that's sown. For some people, it could be something that was sown when they were a child. It could be childhood trauma. It could be the root cause. It could be something that happened literally just yesterday and they didn't deal with the wound. It's if I get cut now and I just sit here and smile, I'll probably get an infection. If I don't deal with it immediately, that's what will happen. But if I deal with it immediately, you won't even know, oh, you have a cut here. I actually have a cut here from a massive trauma that happened to me when I went to Dubai, and a dune buggy slammed on my finger, and I don't think you can tell because it's actually healed. And so that's with us, if we're able to go through things, by the time, like you said, when you were younger, you were timid and you were shy. But now nobody can believe that because you're so bold and confident. So I don't even know where I'm going with that point. But the main thing I wanted to make was that it's the enemy. He could say things. And for me, to guard my heart is my mindset first. My mind has to be as as a man is, so he is. So as what does God say about me, that's who I am. And if I continue to meditate on these things, I will become that thing. So if I continue to think lustful thoughts, if I forget about lustful thoughts, if I'm listening to songs that sow seeds of lust, then I'm going to think lustful things. But if I don't act on them, I'm okay, right? That's a lie from the pit of hell. Continue to meditate on those things. It's the same as like if someone says you're ugly, you continue to meditate on those things. Before you know it, you're going to look in the mirror, you're going to hate yourself. If you continue to meditate on those things, before you know it, you may fall one way or another. So for me, it's like, it may not be people, but it might be the enemy. It might be the lust of the flesh. It might be just your own issues in your own heart that have been from trauma as a child. So if you can cancel those words, not just what people say about you, but those words that the enemy says about you, then you can live more victoriously, I think, anyway.
Or you'll be thinking about it and begin to say all the nice things you could have said back to the person. 5 days later. You know, when you know those times you don't speak, and you say, okay, it's fine, we'll be polite, and then you go back.
God bless you.
God bless you. Then you go back and say, I should have told that. But yeah, as well.
So what, final question that I have, what advice would you give to somebody that has internalized words from childhood or trauma, or someone commenting on their body image, and they have internalized it? Maybe it's become a stronghold. Maybe they literally see themselves like that now, and they can't see how is this going to change. Or even if I say nice things about myself, I don't actually believe it. Or even if someone says, God says you're beautiful, God says this, God says that, but because of that hold that they have, and because they've believed that word and allowed that word, they've internalized it, it's literally changed their perspective of themselves. How do they get out of that?
Contact EDM.
The plug.
How do I get out of it? Or
What advice would you give to come out of that stronghold?
I think it takes a renewal of mind, and not that it's easy, but really and truly you need to almost unlearn and relearn certain things and just change your perception about how you see yourself and all of that. But what that looks like in practice is self-confessions. So I'm not this, I am this. And I think self-confession is not just say I am not, but then saying who you are. And the mirror thing, I do that as well. And sometimes I'm like, you're fine, God did a good job on you. Like, I actually tell myself that, and I encourage myself. And when you're going to uni, whatever it is, college, work for me, I am literally boasting in God, but I'm literally talking about myself, but making boast in the Lord. So that definitely helps, but definitely a renewal of mind, change of perception, self-confession. The people you have around you as well would help as well. So the people you're hanging around with, maybe you need to filter out your friends, your community. I was going to say church, but if your church is not helping, maybe, I don't know.
Oh dear.
I'm not going to go there. But just your environment. But the environment that you keep, the friends that you keep, the friendship group that you keep is very important as well, because there will be times where you can't necessarily encourage yourself, or you need someone to literally speak over you. So finding, and it's interesting because when you're in that place, usually isolation is the place where everything is telling you to go to, but actually there's a time for isolation, but there's a time where you actually need to get people to come to where you are and literally pull you up. And that would mean you being open to actually asking for help, because Bishop says all the time, it's not every time that your bishop will see, it's not every time that your reverend will see, it's not every time that somebody will dream and say, okay, I saw this person, so let me call you. Sometimes the pastor too they're also going through their own thing. You get what I mean? Like, the pastors are also going through their own thing, and sometimes it's just for you. And I've had to learn that myself, to literally, because I'm very close, like, you wouldn't know anything is going wrong with me, except we wouldn't know, except you're like family or really close friends. But my close friends end up in family. Anyway.
I mean, people marry people's brothers.
But what I'm saying is that just being open and just asking for help, and obviously knowing who you're asking help from as well. And yeah, no man is an island. You actually need community. You need people around you.
The right community,
Yeah,
definitely.
one thing Priscilla taught me. Sorry. Yeah, you taught me stuff. I think just before, it was really weird. I can't even believe I'm using this, but it's what came. She literally prays about everything. And I have to sometimes divorce the fact that she's married to my brother away from my mind, because otherwise I'd have to book sessions. But like, in terms of like, even praying about like her body at some point. God, she'll pray about like her boobs. Yeah, let's just say everything, because
You lay hands on your boobs.
Yeah.
No, but do you understand when someone's getting married to your brother, there's certain things you don't want to know.
I don't have a brother, but
You can imagine.
imagine.
Yeah. So like, so things like that, like if you've internalized certain things about yourself, even in prayer, praying about those, because sometimes like it's the thing that you're not happy with that really does hurt the most. So if it's sometimes not just their words. After you've dealt with the words, if you're still not happy with it, it's an issue that you need to address. So like, God, show me this. And sometimes it's maybe what people are pointing out has an element of truth. Like if it's a character flaw, like a character trait, and saying maybe you're too this or you're too that, or you talk too much, and those things can hurt you because nobody likes to feel criticized or whatever, and the way you correct matters. But if after the hurtful words there's an element of truth in it, I think we wouldn't be doing ourselves justice if we don't ask ourselves to address it. Just because you don't like the way someone said something doesn't mean it's always a lie. And so looking at that with yourself and praying, God, okay, open my eyes, show me me. Show me who you say I am, and show me the lie. You know, when we say, where's the lie? We're using as banter. God, where is the lie I'm living as truth? And so that you'll be able to actually tackle it and deal with it. Because sometimes we can, after everybody's voices is drowned out, if you're still left with the defect, it can actually, you're not doing yourself any favors. That makes sense. I've had to, okay, whether I like it or not, we all have people that talk about us or whatever, whether directly or indirectly. And I've had to learn to drown out voices. People think I don't care, but it's over the years I've just had to learn to, whether it's God, oh, you're doing a great job, God bless you, but it's not. Like, words information is not necessarily my thing. In fact, if you text me long words, I'm like,
And then you reply one word.
I'm sorry.
I do the same thing.
Thank you. Emojis, you know. Oh my, thank you. Wow, I'm just gonna hold it.
Okay.
So I think still being able to deal with that side of things is very, very important. So you don't end up, because I hope I'm communicating what I said. So prayer for me is very, very key. You know, I've gone before God. You know, when David said, "Search me, O God, and know my heart, and see if there be any wicked way in me." I think part of progress is not just thinking you are all that and a bag of chips. Have a good level of God esteem of yourself, but at the same time understand that you're also, the scripture says you're sanctified and you're being sanctified. So you're also still in process. So like, God, okay, thank you for blessing me and all the good things. But what does your daughter need to do to be who you said she is? I like to ask that. When you're upset, you need to, you know, find healthier ways. Don't judge me every day. You need to, don't beat people up. Thank you. That was a deliverance. Praise Jesus. In fact, this year I got delivered from a level of expression. Praise Jesus. I was listening before God, like, Father, help me not to always want to slap them. God, help me. You know, you just have to be honest with yourself. Because if you're honest with yourself and you deal with it, you know, like if you have that cut, if you do it yourself, if you're treating your cut yourself, although it would still hurt, it's not as bad as when somebody else comes and tries to do it for you. Yeah. So it's really, really important to still address you, you know.
Bruce was saying something about friends. And I remember last year, Nancy spoke about friends when we did this. So how has been progressed in
That's true.
How has been progressed in the last year? Because we were talking about hurt from friends and stuff like that.
This is a hard one. I'm not gonna.
We just needed it.
Go, babe, break.
No, it's
Break,
okay. Break if you need to.
break.
This is a safe space.
This is a safe spot.
Did you like the stroke?
But no, I think since last year, this year for me, I think God has really been showing me a community of sisters that He has placed around me. And because of the friendship hurt, it was hard to see them because I was like, I'm not going to trust anyone. I don't want to trust anyone. It's too painful. Something I've learned is that love is a risk. And it means that I have to be, if I want to, feel love from people around me, I have to be willing to put myself at risk. And so even with the sisterships that I have now, it's not always perfect. Some of them really, really get on my nerves. We don't always see eye to eye, but they pray with me. I pray with them. I know that they have my best interest at heart. But if I wasn't willing to put myself at risk, I would have, robbed myself of all that God had for me. Although sometimes when I do still see my old friends, it's hard, it's painful because it's like we shared all these memories, and sometimes I'm just like, but God, like, why is it like this? But like everyone has been saying, there's a season and there's a time for everything. Some friends are actually seasonal, and it doesn't mean that now when I see them, I'm fighting or anything like that. There's pure love for them, but sometimes I do still miss them. But I can see now that where we were going was two completely different paths, and if we continued together, we probably would have ended up in like a car crash. So it's understanding there's a season and there's a time for everything.
I think the understanding that not that friendship, certain friends are just for a season, and certain people you even call sisters are not always going to be there. They're not like friends for life type thing. I think it's something that it's a reality, because even with our friends,
Bro.
Because some people you've grown up with, you've done life together, uni together, and you've even dreamed. So people dream about this. When this happened, when that happened, and then
Life.
And then life happens.
And purpose.
Happens, and it's just understanding that it's okay. Like it's actually okay. It's just life.
I actually wrote a blog about that this morning about friends, because I was thinking about how, even if in a big group, there's some people you're close to, and some people you're not that close to. And I was wondering, like, God, like, what is the dynamic? Because even in the kingdom, because sometimes people think because we're of the same faith and we all love Jesus and go to the same church, why are we not all close? And one of the things that for me struck out to me is when Jesus was asked, he was told your mother and your brothers were here, and he said, who is my mother and brothers? But he that does the will of the Father. For me personally, I know that those I'm closest to are those that are in pursuit of God, that are not they don't excuse, like, sacrificially. Taking, you can't really take God out of it, but if you're not, purpose has a way of, you're not just friends for no reason. Like, what are we doing? Do you get like, what? I say, this is not days of 10 tell, actually, what are we doing? I just next mix it.
What? Understand what 10
oh, is? Google, bro. I can't help you. You don't know 10 tell. Like, you see, cheese.
No,
do you see what she did?
It's with the legs.
I was just not embarrassed.
No, you can't. You do.
Yeah, but I thought you were didn't say it.
It's a Nigerian boy, I can't play in the streets.
It's not every day Game Boy. Listen,
Kids play in primary school.
That's right. Primary, secondary school.
And
There's a
secondary
serious,
school.
like, there was competition. You have groups.
Yeah.
It's our own cheerleading.
Exactly.
So, like, purpose really matters. Like, when you are in pursuit of something, it consumes you. And it like, you're a nutritionist, praise Jesus, dietitian, every day.
Nutritionist all day. Why did you correct me? Even on my Instagram, I posted our nutritionist is here.
Ty is a dietitian. Let's put it. Dietitian, actress, accountant, everything. Amazing. When you are in pursuit, even if we're not doing all the same thing, if somebody is not doesn't have the same drive. So let's say you're running like this, and this person is like, and you're trying to, it's really hard to, it's just hard. If you're not going the same, the scripture says, can two walk together except they agree? If you're trying to walk that way, I'm trying to walk that way, it's natural for there to be space. What we're trying to do is take people on journeys with us that are not going to the same place. So while you're trying to stare left, they're trying to stare right, and then nobody's moving. Or there's frustration. People are like, oh, we keep falling out. What are you falling out about? If you guys don't agree, even in faith, like I have friends with people that are not necessarily preachers of the gospel, although we all like preach because we're all ministers, blah blah blah. But maybe they're not in an office, so to speak. But their love for God and passion for God and pursuit of God gives us more than a common ground. As opposed to now meeting someone that, oh, I just another service. Anyway, God knows my heart. I'm sorry. After a while, I'm just not going to know how to, and you can't, and this is not about spiritual maturity because it's different. If you're in pursuit of God, regardless of your maturity state, somebody's hunger, like when you meet a new believer, even their hunger, you that you're old, you're like, God, it's true. Like, a hunger can make you. The Bible says iron sharpens iron, and it doesn't tell you what type of iron it is. It just says iron sharpens iron in terms of like, you can be around people, but if you're not with wood and you're the one sharpening all the time, after a while you're like, bro, I need a holiday, mate. All right, Jason, have you ever been around a friend that you love, but after a while you're like, we just need a break. And you're not in a relationship, this is just friendship, and you're telling your friend. But when you have like a unity of spirit, there is something that it just keeps you going. Or I've met couples, a lady got married, she had her own passion, know what she wants to do, her purpose. Her husband didn't. They got married, I went to visit their lovely home. After everything, how you doing? She's like, sis, he doesn't have anything aside of us. I said, what do you mean? He goes to work, comes back. She wants to talk about her job and everything that's keeping her ticking. And she's wanting something to reciprocate. And there's nothing. Now, obviously, you're in it, bruv. You're married. You gotta make it work, okay? You gotta pray for him to discover who he is and his. But even in your friendships, you'll be surprised, like you said, they've gone to different parts, and it's not necessarily like what they're doing is bad or whatever. You know them out, But where you're going, there's no compliment, and your friendship should complement you. You don't have to be the same, but there must be a compliment. That's my own little sorry.
So, ladies, how do you all pick friends that you're close to?
Do you pick friends?
Yeah.
Bro, you didn't choose me. I chose you.
How do you pick?
I chose you.
It's funny because I was looking at my people that are close. I'm thinking everyone is completely different. Like I love what you're saying about purpose, but for me, I was looking at my friends like, some people are a bit more laid back. Like, what is it that they all have in common? And I realized that everything that everyone around me has in common is the same. There's something in their character they all have, and it's that ability to no competition first, because I can't stand competitive girls, and two, that ability to celebrate others. That's something. When I was sitting down, I was thinking, God, what does people that I want to be closer to, what do they all have in common? And other than the love of God, most of the people that are close to me are actually Christians, but what is it? But then that sisterhood. I realized because I grew up, I'm the first sister, so I was sister by force, Yeah, I was a big sis from when I've been hearing you're a sister from when I was over a year. So that sisterhood thing. So I realized that the female friends I draw closest is that sisterhood thing attracts me. When girls are sister, when there's like a feeling of sisterhood, real sisterhood, like selfless, like they celebrate. There's that like band of sisters. It's not about a band of sisters. So that's what I like. So for you guys, what kind of friends? How do you pick your friends? I'm Dina. Sorry. I'm doing EDM job. Sorry. Maybe my commission. Yeah.
So when you say, so I'm still trying to understand, because I just feel like when it comes to friendship, I feel like God puts you in an environment of people, because you don't necessarily, because when we met, I didn't necessarily say, you're going to be my friend. You're going to, when you say pick, that's what I see. That's what happened.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. But then, is it everyone, that's in your environment that you end up being close to?
Oh, definitely not.
So there is a sense of picking there. And I definitely agree, because when I met her, the first time, I didn't meet her the first time, I heard her. Like,
who's this?
Yeah, I didn't see her, but I remember being in the library in uni and there was this loud laugh. Wow! And I was thinking, where is that noise coming from? Like, it's quiet time, everyone is studying from exams, and I just heard, and I was like, what is this? And I just went to the corner, and there she was, twirling around on one uni chair, laughing. I was just like, God, that is...
have all the rings on.
Literally, I was just like, that is not the kind of friend I will ever have. I remember saying to my friends that I was like, well, that girl is too loud, man. What is that? What's wrong with her? Like, and then there was, another one of my friends, like my Ghanaian friend Faye. And I remember after the first time I met her, I went home to my auntie, like, this girl, me and her we don't click. And literally, we went to university at the same time. We didn't know we were going to the same universities. We ended up being in the exact same classes. There's 200 students and they share the classes randomly. We were in the exact same classes all through first year of uni. So we had no choice but to be. So that was definitely a God connection.
I think that's the thing about friendship. Yeah.
But then there are certain people that are in your proximity. There are certain people that even try to get closer, that the closer they get, the more you're going like, Jesus. I don't want, so that's why I was saying, how do you allow people, especially you, because you don't have a wall in Jesus' name. So how do you let the people that you open the gate for, the people you open the gate for, how do you pick it?
I think it was God, honestly, because I'm actually trying to go back to uni. For the friends that I have now, sisters, they're friends from uni. But then even with that, I think it's something that God just ordained it to happen. Apparently, I didn't like you. Apparently, I didn't like you when I saw you. Probably thought you were loud and just all over the place. And whatever.
You thought I was trying to steal a book from you?
Really? Who made that up?
Me.
Exactly. But I feel like with my friendship group, I feel like God literally just did it in a way that we just met in the library, maybe. I think because we're the only Christian. No, we're not the only Christians. What was it?
You're really filtering this story by the blood.
I really can't remember.
We're in parties, bruv. Remember? I came to Freshers Fair. We'll see each other. Yeah.
I think it's because we had a common, because we were all looking for God. We're trying to stay safe. I think that's what brought us together. We're trying to stay safe at uni, and I felt I can't do this on my own. You felt the same way. The other ladies felt the same way, and we decided to all come together, not with the intention of being friends
or starting a fellowship
or starting anything. But I think it was a need thing. We needed each other, and I think that was it.
That was over 10 years ago.
Who we talk about?
I mean 10 months ago. So, no new friends?
No, actually, no. Like that. No, I'm actually not serious.
Not in terms of,
in terms of no.
Depth.
In terms of depth, no. Actually, no.
Because, but wait, before we offend people. But obviously, the vision that you and your husband has grown, so she doesn't see SLW members are not necessarily friends to her. They're more like family.
That's family.
But with us, although we're strange enough, Busola's family, but she's also my friend.
I like that.
Yeah.
You need to do that disclaimer. I didn't catch that. You need to move in there, because I don't want you to get any text messages after this.
Because there is a difference between friendship and family. Do you understand? So family, yes, I've got a list of family, but when you say friends, I can count them. Friends that I say I'm in trouble, I need to speak to someone, I can count them.
If I go see, I can go to their house, not to see my brother.
Yeah.
He's my brother. The person that I can be in the room. And there wasn't a shift in, because you're not married to my brother, we can't be. Even to the point where we're like, I didn't get out. Like, we're trying to talk. Because that's a friendship. We have a WhatsApp group with the girls from Bradford. there's one for the general girls, and then there's just 5. It's
Yeah.
actually called Just Us. Yeah. And we actually, and we don't, it's not necessarily like we don't talk all the time, as it's not, because we're not in each other's space like that. But there is a genuine, like, this is us. And it's just,
I think the theme of what everyone is kind of saying from different angles is the importance of choosing the right people around you, or the importance of allowing the right people to be in your space, because it can alter you in different ways. It can affect you in different ways, whether it's your, if you need someone to help you up and there's nobody, that's a problem. If you need someone to remind you of what God has said, if you need someone to encourage you and there's nobody. So I think the common theme from this last topic is to be careful who's in your friendship group, in your circle. And it's not in a negative way. You can be, but you can't be in you. It's not like that. It's literally like one was saying, purpose and character, and what do you flow with? Because friendship is not by force. And the thing is that you can, like I know in the world they say things can rise and fall on leadership. But I think there's also an aspect of friendship that you can rise and fall by your friends. You know, if you don't know that there's a Judas in your camp, Jesus knew there was a Judas. He could handle him accordingly. But if you don't know, then it's detrimental for you, because you're on a cross and you don't know why you're on the cross. Well, Judas was the reason you're on the cross. Aside from it being the will of God, and God is trying to do something through the cross, but it's important to know who put you there. So in that sense, it's important to, what EDM is about, have a community. And use the community that God has given you, because God has placed people around. Not everyone around you is bad. You know, God is not a wicked God. God has placed good people around you, but it's to sift out those good people and build relationships. No relationship happens by accident. It takes work. Love, as Nancy said, is a risk sometimes. But with everything, there's risk and reward. You know, you can be trying to shut somebody out, or they might judge me, but then in actual fact, there might not be a risk there. That might actually be the reward, but you're missing out on it because you're seeing it as a big risk. So, I hope you've been encouraged today from our conversation. Season 3, watch out for season 3 coming, hopefully. We'll talk about it. Praise God. But yeah, I hope you've been encouraged, and I hope you've been blessed, and I hope you've been inspired to actually go back, reflect with God, pray with God, and use the community that God has blessed you with. So you're not suffering alone. You're not suffering in silence. You're not feeling down and out and depleted, and there's nobody, you feel like you're just in a dark space or in isolation, and there's no way out. There is a way out. It's your community. So yeah, praise God, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend, watch it again, get the views up. No, take it. Yeah, praise God. See you next time. Thank you, ladies.